All right. So thank you for joining me. I'm Kelly Wenzel. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Centro. Our platform automates the digital life cycle, of a digital media buy. So that's from planning through negotiation, trafficking optimization, all the way through financial reconciliation. What's different about this is that it happens not just for bidded impressions through our DSP, what most of us in this room would call, air quotes, programmatic, but also for guaranteed direct orders as well, so those governed by an IO, which happens in this world of rising programmatic a lot more than people might think. So if you don't know Centro as one of the more scaled players in ad tech, you might know us for our award-winning culture. Ad Age ranks us as the #1 best place to work in media marketing and advertising. According to Fortune, we are in the top 10 places to work in all of America. We rank in the top best places to work for women, yay, and also for millennials, which is probably more impressive. So we decided to tailor our research with Digiday on the State of the Industry report to look at the state of the digital labor force and to get a better understanding of what's powering the people in this business. So we surveyed over 400 people in the industry from both the buy and the sell side, and that goes everywhere from the planners up to the executives, from associates to owners. So I thought it'd be fun to take a look at what the state of our people might tell us about the fate of our industry. So it's kind of interesting, right? Because we're at a programmatic conference and you might expect the state of the industry to be about the rise of the machines or how code is eating the world, or to stand here and talk about some sexy new algorithm or a mind-boggling number of queries per second. But instead, we decided, in keeping with our culture and our brand, to focus on people, because advertising is, has been, and always will be at its heart a service business, a people industry. And it's one that relies on distinctly human contribution, right? That's ideas, creativity, connectivity, storytelling. And so we're thinking about the question, are we setting our talent up for success? Are we giving them the tools they need to achieve greatness? Are we, as Richard Branson says here, giving them good reasons to stay, but then making sure that they are even more equipped when it's time for them to go? Every one of us in this business, and we see an increasing amount of this written about in the trades, we're waging a war for talent, how to hire, attract, and retain the best of the best. It's interesting because if I thought about the blackboards out there that had the challenges in the industry, so I took a peek at them, and perhaps it's not super surprising because it is a programmatic conference, and I wouldn't expect talent and retention and people issues maybe to be top of mind. So they don't appear wildly on that board, with the exception of training and education shows up several times. So I just wanted to get a quick show of hands. How many of you feel that acute pressure that there's pressure to either hire and attract good talent or hold on to the good talent that you have? I actually can't see your hands anyway. Okay, got it. So we actually think it's worth considering if it's time to change the way that we work, and here's why. So more than 40% of the people that we surveyed said they plan to leave their jobs within the next 12 months or less. So considering the time and money that we all spend hiring, recruiting, and attracting talent, that's a pretty staggering number. And while it's not a mass exodus or anything, it's definitely alarming. Now, the pessimist might say, well, we're clearly not giving our people reasons to stay for any meaningful length of time. And the optimist POV, and I think we heard this yesterday from Barry Lowenthal over at Media Kitchen, the optimist POV might be, well, Kelly, we're just in a really hot market space, and it's really easy for people to jump around and move to what are presumably greener pastures. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. There are some bright spots. 35% of people surveyed said they're satisfied with their current job. Another 22% go even further to say they're very satisfied with their jobs. And even more, 65% surveyed said they absolutely believe they meaningfully contribute to their companies. So if you look at all of that, it kind of doesn't add up. So then why would people want to go? And short of unilateral pay hikes, what is it that we can do about it? Now, at Centro, we have a philosophy that employees are most engaged if they are giving and if they are growing. We see an absolute correlation between a sense of contribution and their sense of productivity. So we wanted to dive in deeper and understand, so what are the most significant challenges that people are experiencing on a daily basis? And the answer that came up overwhelmingly was they feel they have insufficient tools and resources to do their jobs. So this is definitely worth a deeper look, considering we're in an industry that reveres the shiny new object, the new app, or the new tool. So it's not surprising that our people are feeling a very deep sense of frustration that they are forced to work with antiquated or inadequate systems. You know, we put out a new release of our software into beta recently, and when we went out to talk to our early adopters and get a sense of, you know, what's their user experience look like, we would hear stories about software that they would actually actively, they were mandated to use this system, and they would do everything in their power to work around it, do everything in Excel and spreadsheets and email, and then go back at the very last minute and do re-entry of work just to get around that terrible and crappy user experience. And we think obviously that's showing up in these numbers, that source of frustration. And though we continue to see consolidation in this industry, it definitely hasn't shown up in a consolidation of systems and logins for our people that they need to do their jobs. So nearly half of respondents say that they're toggling between 4 to 6 different platforms to do their work. Another 30% say it's 7 or more, just to do what they need to do every day. And by the way, those numbers do not include anything in Microsoft Office, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, anything like that, and it doesn't include email. So that's just other business systems that they need to do their jobs. So clearly the answer here is not let's give them yet another tool to log into. What we need to find are the opportunities to consolidate both the data and the functionality into a single system of record, something that's going to give a holistic view across media channels. And otherwise, we're going to be forcing our teams to continue to squirrel back and forth between silos. And what we can see is there's a significant productivity drain from all of that squirreling back and forth. Look at how many times the folks are having to switch in and out of systems. I mean, you think about how the human brain works and the toll that takes on attention and accuracy, and also, obviously, job satisfaction. It's pretty clear. So if there was ever a deeper indication that we need to revisit the way that we deliver technology, I think this is it. A full quarter of respondents ranked their ad tech vendors as not too helpful or not helpful at all. And then another 52% said they're only somewhat helpful. So said another way, that means 75% of people surveyed said their ad tech partners are only somewhat helpful or worse. Talk about being damned by faint praise. It's definitely a wake-up call for ad tech, because let's face it, I mean, that is a terribly low bar of utility. We saw this issue was especially acute for media buyers and planners, 80% of whom rely on these outside vendors to get their jobs done. By the numbers, 56% of buyers and planners are using between 1 and 3 partners on a typical campaign, while another 31% said they're juggling between 4 and 7 partners on every single campaign that they're working on. So everybody knows, you're reading the trades, ad tech's had a pretty tough year. The stocks have gotten battered and pummeled. Investments are being marked down. But this isn't just the investors speaking. Now it's the customers speaking, and what their voice is telling us is they really don't want this low bar of mediocrity. So, you know, considering that our sole purpose is to serve these media professionals, it's time to get a lot more useful or a lot more helpful and quickly. So sticking with the media planners and buyers for just a moment, we took a look specifically at what they felt they needed in terms of technology, and we asked them first, well, where do you feel like you need the most training and the most support? And you can see what showed up. Analysis and optimization showed up as the first area, and then planning and buying as the second. And when we asked them, okay, and so which tasks are you spending the biggest part of your day on, which are consuming the most time? Obviously, those two, not surprisingly, stayed at the top of the list. But what's also interesting is if you look at reporting, which is someone that everybody felt like didn't require much training, the score was lower, less than 10%, but 44% of people are ranking reporting as something that's taking up a lot of their time. Think about why. They have to aggregate data and output from a slew of different systems and different partners and do that messy reconciliation in order to have this, make meaning. And you can see why this would be a sore point for clients. So no one, and you'll see the full report, no one's calling for a workplace revolution just yet, but it is clear that we can do better. Change is obviously coming, but this rising tide of M&A that we have seen in our business has yet to impact the front lines. And it's time for us to give back to our employees and give our talent what we believe is one of the most critical tools for success, and that's time back in their day, whether that's time for creativity, time for strategic thinking, time for perhaps less work in their life or more life in their work. We believe it's time to change the way that we work and to use technology not just to improve the lives of our media planners and to make our campaigns more effective, but to basically improve the happiness and well-being of everybody in our industry. And I can tell you for Centro, this isn't just words, marketing words on a slide or even wishful thinking. This is truly our mission. So with that, I would just like to say thank you for your time. I appreciate it. You can see the full report will be both on the Digiday website and on the Centro website as well. And perhaps encourage you how you can think about employee engagement and happiness and how that might translate to better business outcomes for you. Thanks, everybody. Brian?
Cool. Thanks a lot, Kelly. So I was very struck by this 75% figure that are not that happy with their ad tech partners. And it sort of reminded me of what we were talking about with the town hall reports with selling features, not benefits. Mm-hmm. How does Centro avoid falling into that trap of selling features, not benefits?
Yeah, I mean, I think it always comes down to the question as a CMO and a marketer that I'm always asking my product marketing team, who I can see sitting over there, is give me the so what. I don't care how the watch works. I do not give a shit. I want to know what can I do now that I can tell time. Sorry for the analogy, but tell me what it's going to do for me to make my job easier, and or make my life better or faster, whatever the benefit statement is. But if you can answer the question of so what, then you're beyond features, because features aren't delivering that. That's really about outcomes. And I mean, I saw on that challenge board too, there was a great one. There was one of the little sticky notes said, what do they need most from ad tech vendors? And it's to understand how you're truly different. And I think if we all held ourselves to that standard of talking about the so what and everybody's so guilty of the jargon. We'd do a better job for ourselves and honestly make it easier for our customers to engage with us and understand where we're going to add value.
That's fair. Although there haven't been that many acronyms so far in the last 2 days.
That's not bad.
I want to open it up to questions for Kelly. Research?
Not that I could see if you raised your hand anyway.
Yeah, the lights are strong. Yep, there's one back here.
Just curious, where in that graph you had of people and their frustrations at work, where creative sat in which one of those categories? Was that planning or?
I'm sorry. So
just, you had a graph up there you had a graph where it indicated where the frustration, like which departments had the most frustration.
Sure.
I was just wondering where the creative process sat, or was it not something you asked about?
It didn't come up in that. No, it wasn't in that particular question.
Okay.
No, because obviously you're talking to media planners and buyers, and they're not really impacting the creative side of the equation as much. They're more by that time into execution.
Okay.
Anything else?
Anyone else? Okay.
Great.
Cool.
Thanks for your
Kelly,
time.
thank you so much.
Thanks, Brian.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Thank you.